So I'm pleased to be joined today by the legendary Scott McNealy, co-founder and longtime CEO of Sun Microsystems and also chairman of Weighin, the company that I'm CEO of. So welcome, Scott.
Great to be here.
So we wanted to talk about privacy briefly. Now,
you have none. You know that a long time ago, a couple of decades ago.
That's
you have
the
no
thing.
privacy. Get over it.
That's the thing. That caused quite a bit of a stir in the press when you said that. So tell us about that.
Well, it was a decade or two ago, and I basically looked around and said, "There's no chance you have privacy. You're carrying phones around. You're entering data online." I tell my boys, anything you put onto the network is a digital tattoo, and it's there forever.
Well, 2018 has certainly changed the privacy landscape. I mean, it's been quite a tumultuous year. You've had Mark Zuckerberg being hauled up in front of Congress, and after the Cambridge Analytica scandal, you've had GDPR being implemented in May of this year.
Just today, Sundar from Google spent all day in Washington, D.C. getting grilled by politicians and bureaucrats who have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. They had explained to one of them that Google doesn't make iPhones.
Right. Well, I was open the New York Times front page yesterday was location data being under the microscope in terms of how easily that's being shared. I mean, wherever you look, whether it be the regulatory environment with the Online Californian Privacy Act, through to the GDPR, through to just consumer pressure around privacy, it does seem that the privacy landscape has dramatically changed this year.
Yeah, we moved from, the microprocessor era and the silicon era to the computing area, the network computing area, and then we moved into the data economy. And all of a sudden you had analytics companies, big data companies, and everybody getting access to different people's first and third party data and trying to use that to match buyers and sellers or figure out where the market was going or beat the stock market or whatever. And with Cambridge Analytica, that all blew up in everybody's face, and people started to realize that all of these social networks people were using your data. They didn't like it, and unfortunately, the people we should worry about most having this big data is the government. But the government went around saying, well, we shouldn't allow companies to have this big data. Only we should have the big data. But anyhow, there's a lot of regulation now saying you can't get access to first and third party data and share it with other people without an enormous amount of financial, political, and brand risk.
So one of the things that I think was interesting that Forrester came up with their 2019 predictions very recently, and they made their top takeaway that zero-party data would be the big shift for next year. And for essentially zero-party data is data that is shared willingly by a consumer to a brand so that brand can personalize marketing, communications, advertising, services, etc. And that's very different from the way that marketers have been operating in the last few years.
And zero-party data really wasn't achievable back in the old days. When I was growing up, the only way you could give zero-party data was to write it down on a piece of paper, fold it up, put it in an envelope, lick a stamp on there, and give it to the government, and hopefully they delivered it to the right place, and then somebody had to transcribe that properly. Now everybody has a phone with a keyboard, a microphone, a camera, and a touch screen, and all of a sudden now, anywhere, anytime, you can submit first zero-party data to a brand or to an organization like you never could before. That's why all of a sudden zero-party data is around. You can do it. It's way different than the old days.
I mean, it seems to me that we used to be in a third-party data economy. We've transitioned to a first-party data economy, and we're fast becoming a zero-party data because of consumer power over privacy.
Well, zero-party data is explicit. It is not hidden behind some big, long license that you don't know about. You know when you're doing it, you choose to do it, and typically, if done properly, you get some reward for doing that. Whereas you don't really get a reward from Facebook or Google when they use your data.
No, that's true. And at the end of the day, if you can deliver a value exchange as a brand to a consumer in return for their data, it's going to build a mutually beneficial relationship between the brand and the consumer over data versus what we have now, which is a bit of a mess where we've got these privacy issues.
Absolutely. And it is nice to be able to talk to the brand and share with them what you like, what you don't like, what you need, what you don't need, and what's working for you.
So one of the things that I know that you're very pleased about, and I'm over the moon about, is that weigh-in was recently mentioned in Forrester's Q&A all around zero-party data as one of 3 vendors that marketers should look at to up-level their capabilities to collect zero-party data. And it feels like we've reached a real milestone here, not just in the wider industry, but also with Wayne's role in helping companies collect this zero-party data.
Well, I truly believe we're a leader in ease of use, in reusability, in cost savings, and I don't know the exact statistic because it's sort of like McDonald's hamburgers, but how many first-party data or zero-party data records have we collected career to date?
Yeah, well, so last year we collected 550 million zero-party data records for 130 customers. We'll do well over 700 million this year, so it's some big numbers for a relatively small customer set.
And we should do over 1 billion then next year, huh?
Oh yeah, for definite.
A billion zero-party data burgers sold, yeah.
So one of the things that we wanted everybody to do, both in the weigh-in, friends and family, our customers, our partners, our employees, but also hopefully the Sun ecosystem as well, is if you could tag 3 people that have helped you actually reach a milestone in your career in the comment section of this post. It would be a great way of actually connecting more people to this major shift on zero-party data. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you, buddy. Go
Appreciate
get 'em.
it.
Take care.